Well, welcome to GTC's Teaching Tidbits. Each episode, we explore a teaching technique, a tip, a practice, or idea from faculty for faculty. Joining me today is Mimi Hume from the English Department. Welcome, Mimi.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you with us, especially for the topic that we're about to dive into. But before we get to that, would you just, since this is your first time in the series, would you just tell us a little bit about your background and about you?
Surely. I'm from California. I have taught English for 25 years. I taught in California, all at community college level. Taught in California, Arizona. I've taught here for about 18 years. I teach online, usually literature, also composition and creative writing. And I've seen a lot of student writing, lots of student writing.
A lot, which connects to our topic for today. I'm excited to have Mimi here because there's one topic specifically that has really been at the forefront of our minds recently as it continues to develop. And it's creating both new avenues for teaching and learning, as well as heightened concerns for teaching and learning. And of course, we're talking about AI. So Mimi is here in the first of two episodes to discuss more deeply this idea of AI and its impact on teaching and learning. Specifically, today's episode, as you know, Mimi teaches English and sees a lot of writing by students. So Mimi's here to give us some insights into identifying generative AI by writing students. So Mimi, I am going to turn it over to you to share your teaching tidbit.
Thank you very much. One thing I want to say is I've been involved in examining AI and have been on committees and chairs and gone to conferences. So I am very pro AI for what it, for the wonderful things it can do. But as far as for being a writing teacher, I get hundreds and hundreds of discussion board posts and essays every semester. And that's a lot of writing that is not necessarily written by the student. So I'll just begin with that. But so we're really looking at something narrow here. There's so much to talk about with AI. So we're really looking at something very narrow that I hope can help you just identify if you think, gee, this doesn't sound right, or this piece of writing doesn't sound like the student, or whatever. All right, first thing I want to just say, I don't want to read this whole thing, obviously, but generative AI is a newer version of artificial intelligence. So AI has been around since the 1950s. We probably before that. A lot of times we use it, we don't even know we're using it, and that's wonderful. All the things that it can help us with. However, so generative AI is one of the main differences is that it's able to create something new, such as about almost any topic, such as an answer to an essay, a discussion board post, or any other writing assignment. Pretty much, AI can address it. We frequently have the most popular tools for our students as far as for textual generation is chat GPT and Grammarly Premium. So as I was saying before, I'm going to just show you some tells, things that we can look at in a piece of student writing and say, that doesn't sound quite right, or this could possibly be an AI submission that was not allowed. Okay, so AI, the first thing is AI is very emotionless, even when describing emotions. So it has this tone, which is very enthusiastic and positive, but sometimes it doesn't really actually convey any emotion. So this was an assignment given in the English department in English 101 to ask students to write about a favorite hobby. It was more specific than that. That sounds really sort of like kindergarten, but there's just giving you a background. I put the response into chat to see what it would say. I said, describe how I enjoyed skateboarding as a kid, and I told it I wanted it in first person. And this is how Chat GPT started. As a kid, there was nothing more exhilarating than the feeling of cruising on my skateboard, The rhythmic sound of wheels against pavement, the wind rushing through my hair, and the freedom to explore the world on four wheels. Skateboarding was not just a hobby, it was a source of unbridled joy. I've been teaching a lot of community college students for a very long time, and this is not their turn of phrase normally. So that's something to look at. Also, if you notice here, generative AI uses a lot of parallel structure. Wheels against the pavement, wind rushing through my hair, freedom to explore the world. Everything I put in yellow is parallel structure, and it's done correctly. All right, but these aren't really ideas. They're just gathered online content with no specificity. All right, let's see. Okay, cliches. Take the skateboarding example. There's a lot of cliches in generative AI writing. For example, the wind rushing through my hair, the freedom to explore the world on four wheels. We students don't usually write this way. These are some pretty adjectives, but they usually have more original thoughts and ways of things seeing the world, and many more errors. The more you make your question to Chat GPT specific, the more information, or the better the answer will be. But our students don't go that far usually, and they're not even sure exactly what they're looking for in a way. Okay. Excessive use of bullet points. AI chat a lot of times puts things in bullet points. So if it's all bullet points, I know I don't ask for essays or discussion board posts or anything like that to be in bullet points. So if I see it, I think, let me look and see what this said. All right. And people don't usually write this way, especially new writers, if they're struggling with grammar or other writing skills. They don't write this way. It's a good way to make a list for yourself for your writing assignment, I suppose. Notice that this is a list and that it's boring because it's a list. Lists aren't very exciting usually. All right. Grammatically error-free writing is very common. ChatGPT produces a very clean prose that is more error-free than what is submitted by many students, and it's very error-free. And most students, I don't think I've ever had an essay that didn't have one grammatical mistake. May not be a ChatGPT paper may not be answering things with the specificity and interest and soul that you're looking for, but there aren't any errors, which that hasn't just happened since 2022. People didn't suddenly learn how to write. Okay, so ChatGPT's writing isn't too perfect, but it's too clean. Real humans write in their language bursts, which I learned about. Didn't know what I never heard of the language burst, but I like the concept. All right. Also, there's almost always correct parallel structure throughout a piece of AI writing. As I mentioned before, I came, I saw, I conquered. Thank you, Julius Caesar, for that. And I'll show you some more examples. Okay. Frequently, hard words and concepts are used. Okay. I don't like this tactic at all because I don't like being a cop, but it does work. So a lot of generative AI answers use higher level vocabulary or ideas than the student is capable of presenting. I have asked some questions, and for example, when I'm talking to a student about AI, I say, what did you mean when you were talking about leveraging the pros and cons of TikTok? Or what does your point about societal expectations mean in the context of your essay? Both questions I've asked, and one said, I'm not sure what I meant by that. And the other said, yeah, I see what you're saying. So I've talked to many, many, many students. Some of them cry. Some of them just say, I'll just sign it. Some say, yeah, I had to do it. I didn't have enough time. Some say, I didn't do it ever. I didn't do it. And then you have to go up the chain of command. All right. Let me see. Okay. Another lack of specificity. For example, I asked ChatGPT to explain problems with the last presidential debate. And this is what it said. Believe me, I'm not going to read all this. Really boring. The debate with between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump may have lacked focus for several reasons. Diverse topics. Debates often cover a wide range of issues from healthcare to foreign policy. This broad scope can lead to, okay, you got it. So diverse topics, style engagement, emotional appeals, audience engagement, moderation challenges, things to think about, things to think about if you're considering, what goes on in a presidential debate, but nothing specific, nothing about it. Nothing about eating pets, nothing about growing up in a middle-class family, no examples, no feeling. So if you get that kind of a post, beware. All right, I like this kid because the prompt was, how the student learned a new skill. But anyways, he wrote about how to learn how to drive a truck. And here's what he wrote. Rev the RPMs to 1600. Okay, now clutch shift to neutral clutch, shifted in gear, my CDL instructor said, lowercase m. These words still play in my head anytime I drove present tense to past tense in the same sentence, a semi-truck. The wonderful form of double clutching is still used today for these big trucks you see on the interstate. In 2015, in order for me to pass my CDL test, we had a portion known as the driving test. Pretty simple, yes? Well, when you're driving 80,000 pounds of machine, it's, without an apostrophe, not as easy as you may think. Or maybe it is. See, there is a lot of people that do not realize, but these trucks can actually drive themselves. That's cool. I want to know more about that, actually. All right. But, give them some pointers on how to punctuate and use correct grammar, but I do like it. This got personality. Oops, I think I went. So, okay. Now I asked the same prompt of chat. And this is what they said. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but learning to drive a semi-truck involves several key steps. First, you'll need to obtain a commercial driver's license, which requires passing written skills tests specific to trucking, etc., etc., etc. But I will point out the parallel structure about safety regulations, vehicle operation, and road rules. Focusing on maneuvering, backing up, and handling different road conditions. Regular practice, patience, and understanding of the vehicle's mechanics are essential for becoming a skilled truck driver. So, yeah, we don't get writing in parallel structure that much that is actually grammatically correct. Oh, whoops. Oh dear. Okay, so I have another presentation, very short, which talks about the process of what we do in the English department and what we do when we are addressing an AI issue. So I use AI detectors. I use Originality and Winston. Some people say that AI detectors don't work or they get false positives, but I promise you that I've tried many of them, and they definitely are signposts or part of your preponderance of evidence that you can use when you're trying to prove that someone used AI. Best way to do it is to talk to the student, but sometimes they don't like to talk to you. Right. All right. So first, you have to fill out the AMRF form, which send it to the student requesting a face-to-face or Zoom meeting. When talking to the student, ask questions about the meaning of words, ideas, and purpose. Okay. Also, if you would like to talk to me about any of this or would like me to run a paper through any AI detector or just want to ask me a question, please contact me. Here's my name and email. And thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Mimi. My wheels were turning as you were giving us some of these examples. And actually, a couple times my brain was like,
wow.
Whoa. Especially that example you showed us towards the end, the comparison between the student written prompt versus that AI generated prompt. Really, lots of tips in here. I feel like I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the episode just to glean all of the great nuggets that are in here. But I hadn't thought about even just that parallel structure for one thing. Is something I'm going to be starting to look for in the course that I teach now in those discussion posts and things, especially since they have an essay due tonight. So my alerts are on for that. But also, I thought it was really helpful too, thinking about that idea of sitting down and talking with the student and actually asking them questions about what they wrote, maybe somewhat hard questions, but really that could seem kind of exploratory, but yet give you so much more clarity on the situation. So,
right.
wow.
And usually, like I'll say, like I asked a student yesterday, what did you mean about Emily Dickinson having a reclusive lifestyle? And like, what did you mean by that? And she said she lived with her father or something like that. She didn't know the word reclusive, sorry, but and there's always stuff like that. And I go, yeah, and so, but if you're talking to there's ways to do it to be in a very nice way where you're not really hurting their feelings, but you're like, yeah, I don't really think you read this that well, and and this is going forward. You are gonna get your academic misconduct form and whatever penalty that is, which is for another presentation.
For another, yes, yes. Well, you heard it from Mimi, the invitation to continue the conversation or ask questions. Again, I put Mimi's email up here on the screen for you, mimi.hume@gvltec.edu. You are welcome to extend that conversation out. And if you have questions you'd like to see answered or specific topics you'd like to see covered in our video series, please reach out and let me know. You can reach me at rachel.cobb@gvltec.edu. And of course, as always, if you have a teaching tidbit to share or you know someone who does, let me know. I want to invite them to share. Well, we'll be hearing from Mimi again in our next episode, so stay tuned. That's this episode of GTC Teaching Tidbits, and we'll see you next time.